Most people prolong the wilderness because they are in sin or because they're in disobedience, or it may even be that you're too busy nagging. You're too busy complaining about something. Because if we continue to complain, just like Israel did whenever they were in their wilderness, we can prolong it. Most of us are like, you know what, I'm pretty good right now. I'm doing great. I'm not struggling. I'm in the wilderness. That's amazing. But to get out of the wilderness, you must be obedient because there's a time in Numbers where Joshua had to stand up and say, hey, Israel, you guys have to serve those who God had put in order. You have to go and do this because you're trying to get rid of what God had already placed before you. Because their mindset was on, oh, wow, God put this in my life to destroy me. God put this in my life to take advantage of me, to steal. No, He did not take you out of that one situation to put you in a new one. Israel came into a place and said, oh my goodness, God is trying to deliver me back into Egypt, or it would be better for him to deliver me there. Do you know why they had that mindset? It is better for me to be back in Egypt than it is to be here now, is because they were in the uncomfortability of the ways of Christ instead of the comfortability of their own sake. Most people want their own sake. They want their own way, but Scripture goes on telling us that a man plans in his heart, but it's not prosperous. Do you know most people think that they could stick it in the face of God and say, this is what I'm going to do? No, if you want to get out of the wilderness that you're in, you need to submit and obey God. You can't be like Israel and say, you know what, I'm going to find my own way. You know what, I don't want this no more because it's uncomfortable. I don't want this no more because of everything that has happened. No, I want an easier way, and I just want to go back to what I was already familiar with. How many people are here saying, you know what, I went back into some things because of the comfortability of it? That's what sin does. Sin gets you in a comfortable position to say, hey, you could just come back to me anytime because I'm going to accept you with open arms. See, that's why God told Cain, hey, something's knocking at your door and it's sin and it's on you to let it in. How many of you need to say, you know what, I can't let that sin in? How many of you need to do that? Say, you know, I can't let that sin in. How many of you right now, God's saying, hey, I'm knocking on the door of your heart and it's on you to let me in, but also sin is crouching at the door. You need to discern what's behind that door. The wilderness is there to encourage you. James 1, chapter 1, verse 1 through 5 goes on telling us the reason for a storm. The storm perfects patience and peace inside of us. Our lives may be falling apart, but somehow we can have the diligence to stand firm in it. How many people want to stand firm in the storm and say, God got my back? God has me, because it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go back to Egypt. I'm not going to go back to the way that I was, because the comfortability of before doesn't compare to the uncomfortability that God's going to bring for my prospering. The uncomfortability is going to bring an uprising to your prospering. Most people are like, I don't feel like I can prosper. I'm too far, too stuck, too deep in what I'm in that God definitely didn't put me here. Israel said, hey, we're pretty deep in the wilderness, and it seems like we could be attacked by anything. Anything could come out and kill us. But they still, some reason, wanted God to remove them from it because they were afraid of what was in it. They were afraid of what could happen before they even get to the promised land. There were times when God had to deal with them, and it came to a place where he's like, you know, I don't know what to do with these people. Moses, I don't know what to do. We could just wipe them out. Then Moses had to plead on the behalf of Israel and say, hey, no. Joshua even stepped in because he began to say, it's not fair. You can't wipe them out because then you would be lying about bringing them into the promised land. Some of y'all are delaying it. It's not that God's saying, you know what, I'm going to keep you here because I want you here. No, he's saying, I want you in here so that you could prosper, be strong, and perfect faith and patience. There's something that God is saying, just arise, my child, and be attentive toward my words. If Israel could have got out of the wilderness into the promised land, then you can too. But learn from them. That's the Bible. We're supposed to learn. You need to learn. Learn. that the wilderness is to uplift you, to show you how to continue going, how to continue pressing forward. Because if you do not continue this fight, the enemy will grab you by your tail and show you the reason why you're stuck in the wilderness. But let that be encouragement to you. Let the wilderness be something that uplifts you and encourages you today. Let it be a place of you being built up. So what delays and prolongs your place in the wilderness is sexual immorality. Impatience. Number 2 is impatience. Number 3, complaining. How many of us get put in a place where we're complaining all the time? God, I don't know why I'm in this. God, I don't know why this is happening. God, God, God. We gotta stop. We can prolong the wilderness because of complaining. We're not seeing it through the lens of God, but rather through the lens of our flesh. We're seeing the destruction around us and saying this is who God is. But God isn't the God of destruction. He could cause destruction. He will bring destruction, but he's not one that delights in destroying. Take it in and let God be your source. Instead of complaining, take from Proverbs. Keep your mouth shut. Speak life or death, but speak life. If you want to stay in the wilderness, then go for it. But if you want to get out, what you must do, seek, pray, focus on the Lord, and be obedient to what he is wanting you to do. You can get out of this, and it doesn't have to be for 40 years. Some people are stuck in the areas of their life because of what they themselves have done, because they delayed and prolonged their time in the wilderness. Let go of the destructive things. Let go of the criticism toward yourself. Let go of idolatry, because that will tear you down.